How Bernard Arnault became the richest man alive. Stick around to find out.
This is a continuous improvement movement reserved for the few with the grit to prove it. Everybody claim, but the click exclusive. Many pursue, but it's too elusive.
Let me tell you some things about Bernard Arnault. As of 2024, his net worth was $230 billion, making him the richest man on the planet. Also, his company, LVMH conglomerate, is comprised of over 75 luxury brands, and its market value is $500 billion. Calvin, with these amazing accomplishments, what do you think is Bernard's secret sauce?
Bernard Arnault secret sauce is really two-part. The first part, going into my lean toolbox is total quality management. As you might imagine, with a luxury brand like his, quality is everything.
That's
Uh,
right.
Wait, 75 luxury brands, quality is everything. But he does a phenomenal job of combining that with creativity too, right? So let's break that down a little bit. So this is a person with the mentality of short-term pessimism and long-term optimism, which drives a very strong culture and mentality of quality now, quality now, quality now, right? Very startup-like mentality, which is very heavily focused on execution, right? A startup doesn't have a lot of resources to spare, so you have to execute well. And just in general, just a drive for excellence in everything he does. And that reflects in just about every brand. We're talking Louis Vuitton, Christian Dior, Hennessy, Moet, uh, Dom Perignon. We're talking Tiffany and jewelry. The list goes on and on and on. Things we've all heard of. This is a guy who takes himself and his work very seriously.
Calvin, you mentioned he functions like a startup,
Mm,
and creativity is a big part of his recipe.
yeah.
Each company has been able to retain its individuality to manage the brand and continue moving forward, even though it's under this huge conglomerate.
Absolutely. And we were talking about their story from early on, right? Where it started out where he purchased Dior from the government. I guess it was in bankruptcy, and
Yeah.
he purchased Dior, and then later on went after Louis Vuitton, and later on went after Hennessy and Moet, and later on, acquired all these other big brands, Alexander McQueen, some of the best designers on the planet. And in doing so, he's bringing in the most creative talent on the planet in the fashion industry, right?
Mhm.
And at the same time combining that with a really world-class management team to make sure that along with all the creative genius that's being added to the team, we're also adding some management competency that can drive the quality that is needed to sustain and grow a luxury brand.
Yeah, his story is absolutely fascinating, Calvin.
Hmm.
Because you say he started with Louis Vuitton, now he's up to 75, and I think it's that visionary, strategic mindset
For sure.
because he's really taking advantage of what he does well and deploy it across all the organizations. So anything he learns
Hmm.
from one brand can be applied for the rest because it's
Absolutely.
basically the same market.
Absolutely. And that was one of the keys too, is that cross-functional collaboration, right? I think there's a level of collaboration within teams on each brand, but there's also a level of collaboration across brands too, right? I think I saw a commercial not long ago where it had a combination of Louis Vuitton and Hennessy on the same bottle, right? And that's
Oh, yeah.
that's a marketing thing. But even marketing, right? You see some marketing of these brands, but not as much as other brands. I think what they tend to do is build that creative genius that would go into marketing. They build that into the product.
Mhm.
And I heard him speak just a moment ago, and he said that they don't market so heavily because marketing in itself is antithetical to their core value, which is build emits or build the highest level of quality right into the product itself.
So the product speaks for itself.
Product
pretty
speaks for
much.
itself. Product sells itself, right?
Another thing that highlights his focus on quality, like you said, Calvin, he's not focused on the short term financials, but he wants to build a brand that is a name, that is a legacy, that is part of history, that represents an entire country.
Yeah, it is. It's a pride thing, right? And something he said too along those lines. He said that even though LVMH was number one recently, and maybe still is number one on the French stock market, right? It had the highest market cap. He's like that. We're not number one in the world.
There is always room for improvement.
There's always room for improvement. He says, the next mission is we gotta quadruple those numbers, right? We want the highest market cap on the planet, or better. So what it shows is that just never being content with what you have, right? There's always room for. It's that startup mentality that's being brought to a very large and already successful company by most people's standards.
And it all starts with a vision, with a thought, and then from there, with that little seed, you're free to grow as far as your imagination can take you. And as we saw in this case, focus on quality and the product will speak for itself.
That's it. Yep.
Thank you for joining us today. Let's get better every day, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great weekend. For daily news on operational excellence and how it relates to current events, check us out on the Ticket to Freedom podcast.
Simply subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay up to date on the latest developments in continuous improvement.